free throws she's getting off, the free throws and the calls that is pretty much garnering her the type of performances like this. She never gets in foul trouble. She gets all her calls. At this point, bro, this is unprecedented. I feel as if Caitlin Clark needs this damn whistle. Everybody should be pitching a bitch about A'ja Wilson whistle because the WNBA was so far in the sunken damn place, no one paid attention to this sport. No one ever watched the first.
Controversy has erupted among basketball enthusiasts following recent playoff action in Phoenix, where concerns about officiating consistency have reached a boiling point. The central figure in these complaints is Las Vegas star player A'ja Wilson, whose treatment by referees has sparked intense debate across social media platforms. While Wilson's clutch performance included a dramatic game-ending bucket that secured victory, the conversation has shifted away from athletic achievement towards something more troubling. Fans and observers are raising serious questions about the consistency of foul calls throughout the series, particularly those benefiting the Las Vegas organization. The core issue revolves around the frequency of trips to the charity stripe. Wilson's ability to draw whistles appears unprecedented compared to other elite talents in the league.
First two damn championships because we never gave a fuck. Well, guess what? Now y'all in mainstream media and now people is paying attention. Not only is we paying attention, we're noticing a pattern. And the pattern is A'ja Wilson get this damn special whistle. Like this should be looked into, bro. I mean, this is worse than Deflategate to me. You know, Tom Brady, Deflategate, all that stuff. This is just as bad as that because they're deliberately.
This pattern becomes especially concerning when considering how limited exposure the league received before recent mainstream attention arrived. Now that viewership has expanded significantly, these officiating tendencies have become impossible to ignore. Comparisons have been drawn to various sports scandals throughout history, with some suggesting the situation rivals major controversies from other professional leagues. The implication is clear: deliberate favoritism may be occurring, though the motivation behind such actions remains unclear. Evidence supporting these claims has circulated widely online. Multiple video compilations demonstrate questionable sequences where physical contact initiated by Wilson results in defensive players being penalized.
They're deliberately cheating for A'ja Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces for whatever reason. Man, but we gotta head on over to X, man. Dive into this story before we expose a lot of the theory that has went on within this series, because there has been a lot. Now, I'm not saying that the Phoenix Mercury is got a chance of winning, because they never did. But some of the stuff that A'ja Wilson was doing.
One particularly striking example shows Wilson establishing an illegal pick, yet officials assessed the violation against her defender instead. This pattern repeated itself multiple times throughout contested matchups. The Indiana series provided numerous examples of this discrepancy. When Wilson set screens that appeared to violate legal positioning rules, defenders found themselves whistled for infractions. Conversely, when opposing players like Aaliyah Boston attempted similar physical play, referees quickly signaled for held balls rather than awarding fouls. The disparity in how identical actions were judged depending on which player committed them became a focal point of criticism.
A'ja Wilson was doing is my God, bro. My God. Tibbetts, is that Tibbetts? Yeah, so Tibbetts already said, I haven't seen it yet, haven't heard. She was not in the locker room when I just went there. I have not heard Tibbetts on the status of Satou Sabally, so I'm guessing Satou Sabally got hurt. I don't know, man. We going to look into all of that tomorrow. But, yeah, Satou Sabally got hurt, dog, but we got to talk about this shot. So this was
rebounding situations illustrated this issue further. Wilson grabbing boards frequently resulted in automatic whistles against opponents who made contact. When Boston engaged in comparable physical battles for possession, officials responded differently, often declaring jump ball situations rather than assigning personal fouls. Despite the impressive nature of Wilson's decisive shot, which came with defensive pressure and demonstrated genuine skill, the broader context cannot be dismissed. Statistical evidence reinforces the complaints about preferential treatment. League-wide numbers paint a revealing picture.
Got to talk about this shot. So this was A'ja Wilson immediately at the end of the game. Listen to her. She's not the GOAT, bro. Asia Wilson is not the GOAT in my book because she don't do GOAT stuff, and she got a special whistle. Now, let's check out some of this right here. This is some footage I want y'all to look at real quick. Let's check this out. So this is major.
Wilson currently leads all players in free throw attempts with 290 for the season. This represents an extraordinary volume that significantly exceeds her peers. Breaking down the per-game average, she attempts 8.3 foul shots per contest. In the particular game being examined, that number jumped to 12 attempts. Historical comparison adds another layer to this discussion. Examining previous seasons shows some variation in who led the league in free throw attempts.
Let's check this out. So this is major footage. The reason the Indiana Fever are not in the finals is because of the damn referees. Look how illegal screens and other fouls get ignored for the Aces, but they foul out Aaliyah Boston. Now, this was during the series, bro. These are the referees doing these things deliberately. These are.
But it led to a 3-point play where Nalissa Smith
deliberate acts. Now, I had reacted to a lot of this.
Huge. When Jewel Lloyd pushes Lexi Hall.
Different players topped these lists in 2021 and 2022, with Jonquel Jones and Brianna Stewart respectively earning those distinctions. However, beginning in 2023, Wilson has dominated this category. The 2025 campaign stands out as exceptional even by recent standards. The gap between Wilson and other top players in free throw attempts has widened considerably, suggesting either a dramatic change in playing style or an escalation in favorable officiating. Team statistics from the contested game revealed that Phoenix actually received more total foul calls than Las Vegas. However, the distribution of those calls tells a different story.
Now, I made a video about this, but there's more, man. There's more concrete evidence proving that the Las Vegas Aces is cheating, bro. They're fucking cheating, bro. I mean, ain't no way around it. Here's another one. Here's another video here.
Asia Wilson sets an illegal screen, and it's a foul on Sykes.
Look.
That doesn't make sense. Well, let's see what happened in the Fever series.
Wilson individually attempted nearly as many free throws as multiple opposing players combined, highlighting how the disparity manifests at the individual level rather than team totals. Critics argue that if other elite talents receive similar treatment from officials, playoff outcomes might look dramatically different. Specifically, comparisons to Caitlin Clark suggest that extending this level of whistle protection to other stars would fundamentally alter competitive balance. The implication is that Clark or other skilled players would dominate statistically if granted equivalent favor from referees. The controversy extends beyond individual games to raise questions about competitive integrity. Multiple playoff series have featured similar patterns, with video evidence accumulating across different matchups.
Look,
that doesn't make sense. Well, let's see what happened in the Fever series. An illegal screen.
They're not calling shit on Asia Wilson, bro. She has a whistle like we never seen before.
It's a foul on Powers. Asia Wilson, her illegal screens become your fouls. Make that make sense. Look at Wheeler just pushes her. She got called for a foul. Or maybe it's just a screen thing. Well, let's check out rebounds. She grabs a board and it's an automatic foul. So let's see.
The Indiana series proved particularly contentious, with Boston being assessed excessive fouls for physical play that appeared comparable to actions Wilson committed without penalty. Phoenix player Satu Sabally reportedly suffered an injury during this series, though details remain limited immediately following the game. Coaching staff had not provided updates in initial post-game availability. The discussion has generated significant reaction across digital platforms, with basketball fans expressing frustration about what they perceive as unequal application of rules. The timing proves particularly significant given the sport's recent surge in mainstream visibility. Years of limited attention meant these patterns, if they existed previously, went largely unnoticed by casual observers.
Is inviting you, someone that's as careful as she is about her image. If she's inviting you to go and, you know, be at a Chiefs game with her, you're obviously big. And now we got Travis Kelce spotted in the Caitlin Clark merch. his most recent podcast in the Caitlin Clark merch. And by the way, this is not just any podcast. This is the podcast after. And if you're saying after what? Just after. Like,
Now that broader audiences are watching closely, inconsistencies in officiating have become impossible to overlook. The increased scrutiny places pressure on the league to address these concerns, or risk undermining the credibility that comes with expanded media coverage. Las Vegas continues advancing through the playoffs with a commanding series lead. However, the conversation surrounding their success has become inextricably linked to questions about officiating fairness, whether deliberate bias exists or whether the situation reflects unconscious tendencies by officials remains debated, but the statistical and video evidence has convinced many observers that something unusual is occurring.
like, after. The life of a showgirl. Like, it is crazy. It is crazy. I don't know, where does he put it on? Where does he wear this? I was trying to find the part of the podcast that he wears it in.
The broader question concerns what standards should apply to star players versus role players. All professional sports leagues wrestle with this balance, as marquee talents often receive some level of favorable treatment from officials. The debate centers on whether the gap in this case has grown too wide, creating an unfair competitive environment. Phoenix faced an uphill challenge regardless of officiating, as Las Vegas possessed superior overall talent. However, the margin of victory in several contests proved slim enough that differential foul calling could have influenced outcomes.
Yeah. There's so many different parts of the podcast. Either way, though, Travis Kelce is clearly repping the Caitlin Clark merch. And by the way, I'm a fan. Like, the Caitlin Clark logo is growing on me. It's growing on me in the way that, like, I didn't like the logo by itself.
This possibility fuels continued controversy and ensures the topic will dominate discussion regardless of ultimate playoff results. Wilson's individual accomplishments remain impressive from a pure basketball standpoint. Her scoring ability, defensive presence, and clutch performance demonstrate genuine elite talent. Separating legitimate greatness from advantages potentially provided by officiating presents the central challenge in evaluating her legacy going forward. The comparison to all-time greats becomes complicated when questions about competitive fairness enter the equation.
Like the logo by itself when I saw it. But now I'm seeing it on everything and I'm like, I could wear that. I think a 16 or an 8-year-old kid and a 45-year-old man can wear a black hoodie with a Taylor Swift or with a Caitlin Clark logo. That is the sign of a good logo. And like, I'm somebody that was not high on the logo initially because I didn't like that first logo shirt. The like navy blue and yellow.
Historical legends faced consistent defensive pressure without receiving excessive favor from referees. If current circumstances involve preferential treatment, it potentially places an asterisk next to accomplishments that might otherwise stand among the sport's finest achievements. League officials have not publicly addressed these specific complaints, though the volume and specificity of criticism suggests some response may eventually become necessary. The combination of statistical evidence, video documentation, and widespread fan reaction creates pressure that typically demands acknowledgement from governing bodies. As the playoffs continue, scrutiny of officiating will likely intensify.
That first logo shirt, the like navy blue and yellow Caitlin Clark logo. I didn't like that shirt. But all the like the small Caitlin Clark logos, like I think it's a nice logo. I have to say I'm a bit of a no, I'm not gonna say hypocrite because you're allowed. Okay, it's at the end. You're allowed to change your opinion on things. Like in life, you are absolutely allowed to change your opinion on things. But one thing that I'm gonna change my opinion on.
Each subsequent game provides new opportunities for either confirming or refuting the patterns that have generated controversy. Close contests will face particular examination, as any questionable calls involving Wilson will be dissected extensively by engaged audiences. The situation highlights broader challenges facing leagues attempting to balance entertainment value with competitive integrity. Star players drive viewership and revenue, creating incentives for favorable treatment. However, audiences also demand fairness, and perceived manipulation of outcomes through officiating can damage long-term credibility.
Change my opinion on is this. Like, I think it is absolutely an absolutely near perfect sports logo. And this is someone who, again, not that I hated the logo or anything. I didn't think it was the greatest thing in the world like a lot of people did. And you know what? You guys were right. You guys were right. As soon as Caitlin Clark merch becomes available in Europe, I will be buying some. Like, I need to see, is it available?
This controversy will shape conversations about the season regardless of championship results. Whether Wilson and Las Vegas continue their dominant run or face unexpected obstacles, the officiating debate has already established itself as a defining narrative of these playoffs. Resolution likely requires either clear evidence disproving the accusations or acknowledgement from the league that adjustments to officiating standards may be warranted. Caitlin Clark has become a household name in sports, with her celebrity status reaching new heights. Her presence at Kansas City Chiefs games alongside
Caitlin Clark, Nike, Europe. The problem is that, again, right now, Nike advertised it as a global brand, as a global thing. If you go to Nike.ie, you can see a Caitlin Clark Just Do It. And you can see nothing with the Caitlin Clark logo. And then, if I was to buy it in the States, the import duty is crazy. So it's just waiting. It's just a waiting game.
Swift, who recently dropped an album that's becoming the most streamed release of the decade, despite receiving mixed reviews for being remarkably middle of the road, doesn't typically associate with just anyone. Her careful brand management makes such public appearances particularly meaningful. Recently, Travis Kelce appeared on his podcast wearing Caitlin Clark branded clothing. This New Heights episode aired following significant personal events in Kelce's world, making the wardrobe choice especially noteworthy. The exact timestamp of when the apparel appears during the broadcast remains unclear, though it surfaces at some point during the recording.
Game. It's a waiting game. It's definitely a waiting game. Because, to be fair, it took until the year of 2025, like the calendar year of 2025, for Caitlin Clark jerseys to be available in Europe. They weren't even available in Europe until the calendar year 2025. So, look, it is what it is. And it's just a pity. It's a pity that, you know, some of these things aren't available. But at the end of the day, if someone I know is going off states,
the CC logo has generated interesting reactions from sports fans and fashion observers. While initial responses to the design were lukewarm, particularly regarding early merchandise featuring navy and yellow colorways, subsequent releases have gained traction. The minimalist branding on black hoodies and other items has proven versatile enough to appeal across demographics, from teenagers to middle-aged adults. This cross-generational appeal signals effective brand design. Many observers who initially questioned the logo's aesthetic have reversed their stance.